Alright everyone, yesterday Chelsea Clinton was involved in a significant altercation. It was actually funny because everyone was saying off the wall stupid fucking shit. Like Chelsea Clinton, who's actually, I didn't know this, she's pregnant. Now, I'm not saying that I hope she has a miscarriage that makes her sterile, but maybe there's some spiritual beliefs in this world. The Clintons are a terrible group of people responsible for a lot of death and suffering around the world, especially in places like Haiti, so yeah, who knows? Chelsea Clinton, had made comments days ago about Ilhan Omar, basically saying, anti-Semitism, rebuke thee, and going through the usual fealty, the usual motions with regards to AIPAC, and that's really what it's about. It's not that Chelsea Clinton gives a shit about, the Jewish people, oh my god, I'm such an evangelical, the world will end if I don't say I love Israel or something. It's not about that. In her case, it's about taking money from lobbies. Like Ilhan Omar is not wrong on that token with regards to some politicians because they don't have any deep-seated religious or moral hang-ups about the issue. Do you honestly think that it's sort of like the Bible story? I hate to use this as an example, this particular parable, but the idea of not everyone who says Lord, Lord shall enter the kingdom of heaven, Christian style, it does really apply to I think probably the majority of these politicians when they ramble about how sad they are. But she got confronted, Chelsea Clinton, she made these comments, has these beliefs, by apparently an individual who has ties to Antifa, or at the very least, she's a far leftist. She's Islamic or something, an Ilhan Omar fan, so a social justice warrior. Saying basically, well, Chelsea, you're not welcome here at this vigil. You're responsible in part for Christchurch shooting, which, by the way, isn't even in the United States. How many people don't even realize New Zealand is not a U.S. state? Has nothing to do with Trump or Chelsea Clinton or anybody else. You're responsible in part because of your Islamophobic comments against Ilhan Omar. And Chelsea's like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way and stuff like that. And it was very funny because for a moment, you had, on video, an exact replica of the paradigm within the Democratic Party. The Clintons represent the core neoliberals within the party that tend towards wanting to wine and dine the far left. They're now quickly realizing, much to their dismay, that they put their eggs in the wrong basket and they should have been wining and dining the business Democrats, which is what I told them fucking 4 years ago. But they didn't think about it this time. They wanted to go far out left, pretending to wine and dine the social justice warriors. Oh yeah, we love the idea of universal health care and free college, free shit, trademark, Bernie Sanders, and all that. Socialism's not that bad, and basically wandering down that dark path. And the problem is, when you do that with the zealots within your party, with the social justice hacks, with the socialists and stuff, at first they're accommodating, but then they say, when you get into power, they're like, okay, it's time to deliver on your promises. What do we know about politicians? They never do. Trump's the only one who has, and he gets obstructed because he's trying to do so. He got his tax reform, he got his foreign policy changes, partially his withdrawal from the Middle East, which is better than nothing, although it doesn't go as far as I would like. I'm more of a pragmatist than an idealist, but it would have been nice to leave Syria, just saying. And is being obstructed on his final sort of capstone idea, which is, defending the southern border. Border defense is now a partisan issue in this country. It's actually a partisan issue whether or not you want to have a nation state at this point. That's the point, really the point we've gotten to. It's very funny. And so, by the way, the Syrian girl's status in the description, I don't agree with every view she has. She's chalking it up to Islamophobia, I think, in part. I don't believe in that. There's really no such thing as Islamophobia. It's like Ilhan Omar did say off-the-wall shit. Some of it happened to be true. But then again, a bunch of other people who are labeled Nazis have been saying similar things and other things as well associated with that for a number of years. By the way, we're not on the precipice of civil war. I'll be covering that separately either today or tomorrow. That'll be a funny one. So it's funny to see Chelsea Clinton get jumped by, social justice warriors saying, you're responsible in part for Christ. Okay, what policies did Chelsea Clinton, who's never held an elected office, what policies has she implemented to be responsible? This is the problem with the social justice warriors. This is their concept of witch hunt style inquisitor guilt. They say Chelsea Clinton has certain beliefs or said certain things, therefore she is responsible for certain actions. That's not the way that reason works. That's not a reasonable person doesn't make that extreme logical leap. But the thing is, the social justice warriors, they're not reasonable people. Now, the Democratic Party elite are realizing that. And they're saying, oh shit, like the infiltration by the Justice Democrats with people like Ilhan Omar and AOC is making their party into an embarrassment at the worst possible time. They're going into an election that if they had a strong candidate, a decent platform, and no schism, they would win. They would be ready to, and I would be ready to announce that Donald Trump would probably lose 2020 if those things were true. Instead, they have no clear leader, just even within the party, not a clear candidate. As far as I can tell, they have no particularly strong candidates on their roster. They have some that are technically viable, but they don't have anyone who really stands out. At this time, pending the debates, nobody so far stands out at all. Donald Trump, this far in to the primary season when he was running, was already above 30%. The only one comparable to his numbers, in an equally crowded field, by the way, mind you, at the time with the Republicans, is Joe fucking Biden. Joe Biden has the charisma of a wet rag. Joe Biden is also elderly. Joe Biden has already alienated elements of the far left. Joe Biden's creepiness is legendary, and there's so much dirt there, speculatively speaking, so that I can't imagine the center-left coalescing behind him any more than the social justice warriors will. So that part's not true. The Democrats have a major schism going on. They can't decide whether they are going to be a leftist party or whether they are going to be a sane alternative to republicanism, which fits in more with the average, the mean, median, and mode of the country at large. The problem is that local and state elections are not the same as federal elections. We've seen this before. What's happened is that the Democrats are playing local and statewide politics to try to scrape together support in the Senate and the House. And they kind of succeeded in the House, although they bombed out totally in the Senate, much to their chagrin. The problem is that that particular strategy has sown the seeds of their own demise on a federal level. No, I don't see good things for them in 2020 unless they get their act together. It's probably too late. What are they supposed to do? They're not going to be able to they can't kick Ilhan Omar out. They couldn't even get the votes to rebuke her officially. What the fuck's going to happen to them as a party? They're probably going to lose 2020, and then, maybe then, the stress on them will be high enough to have a full-on out ideological war between the business Dems and the center left and the far left social justice warrior socialists on the other side, and hopefully the latter loses, so the Democrats will go back to being potentially sane. They will go back. I want a Democratic Party that is an alternative. I am not a Republican or a conservative, but I am never going to vote for a party that says, oh, so maybe socialism isn't that bad. Oh, maybe jacking up the tax rate for people like you sticks by 10, 20 fucking points isn't a bad thing because you're doing okay. Think of your fellow man. No, fuck you. I'm thinking of myself. Democratic policies already screwed me for most of my 20s because of the recession there and Obama's corporate sellout bailouts and all sorts of bullshit then, and the war, and debt spending, and inflation, and every other problem under the sun. The Democrats helped to cause those. So no, I'm not going to forgive you for that. Make a sane platform and have leaders that know what they're talking about, and drop the wedge issues. If the Democratic Party wants to be the party of white man bad, we want to raise taxes, maybe we should hard line on the Cold War with Russia, you're not going to get people like me to vote for you. Certainly not to donate to you or ideologically support you. No, I'm going to keep fighting against you because you are scum. You are not worth voting for. Again, not a Republican, not a conservative, not a Trump superfan. His brand of populism is alluring to me in spite of the fact that he's a Republican. I have nothing but reprehension to offer people like Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush, and Ted Cruz. They're sellouts. They're neocon scumbags that cause wars. What part of that don't people fucking get? The Democrats don't get political strategy. You're acting like Republicans, and the Republican, well, at least Trump is kind of acting like a Democrat, which is why he's winning. Put your big boy pants on and stop pissing them, and stop making a mess for all other Americans to sit there and gawk at and wonder if you've lost your sanity. Because the answer is indubitably, absolutely, yes. That's about all. Peace out.